Hi, everyone. This is Robert Kientz, the editor and founder of goldsilverpros.com. Goldsilverpros.com is an online magazine specializing in the precious metals as well as the economy. We write daily articles and have interviews with experts in both the general economy and the precious metals sector, as well as publishing a quarterly newsletter called the Golden Quarterly, full of information on the quarter's latest events, which include reviews of major mining companies. I'm going to be talking today about the story of the Golden Triangle in British Columbia. What is the Golden Triangle? Well, it's outlined by the diagram you see here on your screen. It's so named for its rich gold ore deposits and also includes copper, silver, and nickel deposits. Currently, there are 24 junior explorers active in the region. Some of the largest projects you can see here are North Rock, Red Chris, Shaft Creek, Galore Creek, KSM, Valley of the Kings, and many others exist. Despite its rich resources, British Columbia receives very little investment compared to other popular Canadian mining districts, according to the Fraser Institute. It is in the bottom half of mining area regions in Canada for mining investment. Some of the reasons are that concerns exist over environmental regulations in the area, as well as the First Nations land claims, which are concerns for many mining executives in getting projects ready for completion. Despite this, though, the area has started to get a lot of renewed investment, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this presentation. First, I want to start off with some early discoveries in the Golden Triangle. It really starts with Premier. It was the first major gold discovery, the Premier Gold Mine, which opened in 1918. Premier Gold Mining returned investors over 200% between 1921 and 1923. Not to be outdone, the Stickeen and Calpine Resources companies struck it rich with the SK Creek Mine. In 1988, the SK Creek Mine struck 49 grams per ton gold, 2,406 grams per ton silver, along with rich deposits of lead and zinc. The SK Creek Mine was Canada's highest grade gold mine, and the SK Creek Mine ultimately produced 3 million ounces of gold and 160 million ounces of silver. Despite all this, the mine shut down in the 1990s. Despite being prolific precious and base metals producers, the relatively low metals prices of the 90s forced the closure of many of these mines. The cost of labor and power were simply too high. In addition, there was a lack of overall built infrastructure that raised the overall cost of mining for the companies operating in the Golden Triangle. However, changing economic conditions, especially the prices of the precious metals, have brought miners back into the area. For example, gold prices are much higher today than they were in the 1990s, even when indexed to inflation. And it means that the mines are more economic than they were 30 years ago. We're also going to be talking about some of the infrastructure that has been laid in the Golden Triangle. As you can see in the diagram, the road access to the area is easier than ever, and a new transmission line will dramatically reduce the cost of power for companies operating the Golden Triangle. Instead of operating off of diesel generators, they will be able to operate off of the grid. There's also paving of the Stewart-Cassiar Highway north from Smithers, Highway 37, and the completion of a $700 million high-voltage transmission line to the Golden Triangle. The Northwest Transmission Line goes 335 kilometers from Terrace to Bob Quinn Lake and north to the Red Chris Mine. You can see that this transmission line is connecting north to south across the Golden Triangle, offering mining companies easy access to electricity. In addition, I also want to point out that there's an opening of ocean port facilities for export of concentrate to Stewart, so that mining companies no longer had to truck out their mining concentrates over rough roads to various facilities. I want to talk about a few of the major discoveries in the Golden Triangle. It really starts with the Valley of the Kings. Pretium Resources discovered 4.2 million ounces of gold at the Bruce Jack Mine. Not to be outdone, Imperial and Newcrest produced 71.9 million pounds of copper, 36,471 ounces of gold, as well as 133,979 ounces of silver in 2019 alone. And Seabridge Gold's KSM mine holds these impressive resources: 38.8 million ounces of gold, a robust 183 million ounces of silver, 10.2 billion pounds of copper, and over 207 million pounds of molybdenum. The Golden Triangle has growing resource potential. So far, miners have found 130 million ounces of gold, 800 million ounces of silver, and over 40 billion pounds of copper. One highlight is Newmont Mining and Tech Resources' Galore Creek copper gold porphyry, which hosts on its own 9 billion pounds of copper, 8 million ounces of gold, and 136 million ounces of silver. Not to be outdone, the Golden Triangle is rich in both nickel and silver, and especially in the northern part, which has nickel, silver, and a bit of lead and zinc as well. Dolly Varden Silver, for example, currently owns an 8,800 hectare property, and they see potential for 5-kilometer radius of potential additional deposits based upon the geology. So far, they have indicated resources at 3.47 million tons, 300 grand per ton silver, and 1.285 million tons at 277 grand per ton silver, which brings their total potential resource to 43.5 million ounces of silver. The resource rush is due in part to new geological modeling. The hydrothermal system responsible for most of the Golden Triangle's deposits have been active for over 10 million years, much longer than most similar systems in Canada or the general area. This has befuddled geologists who didn't know how to date or to track the resources and the geological formations in that area. Thanks to geologist Jeff Kaiba, his work has produced a new model for the area, known colloquially as the red line, where the geological contact between the Triassic and Jurassic age rocks are the strongest indicator for mineralization in the triangle. Indeed, most of the region's latest discoveries lie within 2 kilometers of that red line. But despite this, geologists feel that there is a lot more resource potential for the area outside of the red line, and they think it's going to be rich in gold, lead, zinc, nickel, copper, and silver as well. Thank you for listening to the presentation today on the Golden Triangle area of British Columbia. It is one of Canada's most prolific mining districts, and there are a lot of great companies operating in the area. We're going to see many more discoveries come about in the Golden Triangle, and I believe that the investment is going to be renewed in this area for Canada, and it's going to be a major source of resource for North America. At this time, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to invite you to a very special event that we are holding August 6th and 7th, 2020. It is a virtual precious metals conference known as the North American Monetary Metals Summit. You can register for free online. And I wanted to talk about some of the speakers that will be there. We will have speakers talking about finance, many of the gold and silver companies, the precious metals, physical precious metals ownership, as well as many, many other sessions. You can find the total list of sessions and speakers online at goldsilverpros.com/NAMS 2020. That's goldsilverpros.com/NAMMS 2020. We will be taking registration up until August 6th for the conference. We look forward to you joining us online. Thank you so much for listening to me give this presentation over the Golden Triangle in British Columbia, Canada. We think that that area has a lot of resource potential, and we hope that you enjoy your feature presentation coming up here in a moment.